Welcome to another episode of our Awakening series. I'm Heather,
I'm Marissa.
and we're here today to talk about some really good essential tools. So, today's video is going to be about 4 essential tools for the awakening. So, we're so glad that you're here. So excited. How are you
So
feeling today,
excited.
Marissa?
I'm feeling good. It's 11:11, so we got to take advantage of that energy for sure. I'm
Yes.
excited for today, see what we have in store and really getting the energy together to manifest this next year.
I'm telling you what, like, it has been crazy with energy and the way that it feels. It's got ups and downs and ebbs and flows, and we take every single moment as is. But the biggest thing that we've really been tapping into is a lot of these 4 essential things that we're fixing to talk about today. So, we're going to start out with what is the awakening? Well, from what we have gathered, the awakening is waking up from our dream. And the dream, you may ask, hmm, that's for another video.
Eh,
But we are definitely waking up
From
from
illusions.
all of the systems, all the things, but really we're waking up to us. And what we're trying to do is once we're waking up to the us, is you just start questioning everything. Just let all that fade away. And that's kind of the goal. And why are we awakening? Well, it's a good thing you ask. We're waking up because we're bringing in what a lot of people talk about, the new earth. It is the heaven on earth. It is the divine matrix, the divine God print that we originally had that got hijacked. Again, another video for later. So, we are definitely going to start out with our conversation in meditation. Meditation, wow, very important because it brings you into the now moment. And with meditations, you can have silent meditation and you can have guided meditation. And why do we need meditation? Well, there's actually a lot of benefits. So, emotional benefits are it's going to improve your imagination, your creativity, it's going to improve your patience, your tolerance, your self awareness, help you manage those negative feelings, and gives you tools to be able to manage your stress. And the physical benefits is it helps with that anxiety, that depression, lowers your blood pressure. It's even known to help asthma, insomnia, and so much more. And your guided meditations are great for helping you along the way, where the silent meditations are good for tapping into self. It's a way of allowing your thoughts to just come in with no judgment, and you really start focusing in on your breath. So, as we're on this conversation, I just want to allow some things that we've encountered. So, Marissa, I'm going to let you go first on what was your adventure with meditation when you first woke up and where you are now?
Okay, so when I first woke up, I didn't know what was happening. I had a very spontaneous awakening. Um, and it was like my body already knew what to do. Like my brain, like my conscious, my matrix brain didn't know what was going on, but like my knowing was there. So, when I started waking or when I woke up, I was just called to meditate. Now, I have previously, like, I've been working on myself and my mental health for the last 6 years. So, I've been in therapy and like I knew about meditation. I think that there's this, I don't want to say stigma on it, um, but meditation is more than just sitting still and listening guided or even being silent. Like it's meditation's just being in the present moment. So for me, like I love diamond painting. So you can diamond paint, you can paint, you can play an instrument, even just doing your dishes. you know, it's being in the now moment, um and being aware of like what you're doing, I guess. So, in the beginning of my awakening, I my meditation, so I have aphantasia. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically like no mind's eye. So I close my eyes, you can look it up. There's like an Apple theory thing. It's a whole thing. We don't have to get into it. But guided meditations were super frustrating for me because they're like, picture this, picture this, and I put way too much pressure on myself for that, and it got me frustrated, and I wasn't able to be in the moment. So for me, it was just putting on some frequencies, put in my AirPods. I would lay down and just breathe, feel my body. I would just be very aware of just each body part, I guess. And then, I had just a stream of thoughts. My brain, like most people, is was convoluted with so many thoughts. And so I just kind of let myself think and didn't judge any of the thoughts. I just kind of, in a guided meditation, they would say, like, oh, hey, like, see your thoughts, like, put that thought on like a leaf and watch it go down the river. But like to me, I guess if I like imagery wise, it's just words just constantly like going, and it's like a loop. I it's like a portal, and I'm just like, just let him go, and then it's like off into the ethers, I guess. Um, and I could meditate for like 30 minutes to an hour, and it wasn't even intentional because I never like set out to have like a certain time. Like, okay, it was just when I was feeling overwhelmed or dealing with outside experiences that were super rough. I would just sit there and I'd lay down and I'd snuggle in my bed and get really comfortable. Because I used to think meditation like you had to sit up and you're like, it's not that. Now, what meditation looks like, I'll put on some music without words and I'll just chill because I guess an issue, we're awakening. Just because you wake up doesn't mean that you're perfect automatically. We're constantly learning and unlearning, different things. And for me, I have been struggling with screen time. And I think it's perfectly great if you're consuming different content, but the content I'm is just I'm realizing like I'm addicted to dopamine. So right now my meditations are looking more like just putting my phone in the other room and doing whatever makes me feel good. Now, I've been doing a lot of things like I redid my room. I have this whole wall of like organization. It's really just, I don't know, yeah, putting yourself in that moment. And really, right now, I'm focused on happiness in the now
That's
moment.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it was almost a total opposite. For me, I had the monkey mind to start with, and every time I try to sit in silence, I could not concentrate. And even though I couldn't see, um, I don't know where I heard it from, but it was you just kind of like imagine it and just know that it's happening, even though I couldn't see anything. So for me, I started out with like 5 minute guided meditations, and that went to maybe 15-minute guided meditations to then I started walking and allowing, staying present. And then I found out washing dishes was another way, taking a bath was another way. And
I
so then
love
I just
baths.
kind of expanded out with how that looked. Now I am more focusing in on the breath because breath work is very important, and we don't get into that in today's show, but breath work is very important with the meditation because that's where you kind of do the silent and you allow the breath to guide you back. And that is something that I'm transferring into now, is being more in the mindfulness and not having to need those guided meditations, but I still use them. I do find that it's sometimes easier that I don't have to think and I just allow the words to come in and flow into me. So those words, it makes it a little bit easier for guided meditation, but that also doesn't stop me from going outside in nature, sitting on the ground and kind of doing the 2-for-1 grounding and meditating at the same
Hmm.
time. So that's kind of like where I'm at on my journey. And that leads me into number two. So, number two is all about grounding. Why is grounding so important? Well, did you know that we are bioelectrical beings? And just like a battery, we also need to charge. So, how do you know when you are truly depleting yourself? There's actually a lot of signs, and you may have felt these and had no idea. Have you felt very anxious, stressed, or even nervous? Have you had some inflammation that seems to not go away? Fatigued, you're suffering from maybe chronic pain or disease. You may have poor circulation. You may be easily distracted. That was something that I've never really thought about. But being easily
Hmm.
distracted, even having sleep disturbance, so if you're not sleeping very well, and even being clumsier more than normal, you might need to get outside and get grounded. And then the question may be, well, what are all the ways to ground? Because a lot of people talk about you need to get bare feet on the ground. Now that is the best, cheapest, free way of doing it. It's very fast, but there are actually other ways. So if you feel that you need to ground, another way is to hug a tree. I know that sounds crazy, but the tree
Hmm.
has roots and you set the intention that you're going to ground your energy. Okay. Other things that you can do is you can actually collect things like rocks or seashells because you're picking things off the ground. You can do gardening. But if you're doing the gardening, please don't wear your rubber boots. That's actually stopping it. So you want to be barefoot. You want to get your hands dirty. Don't worry about the mess. That's part of that grounding. Swimming is a great resource. Taking a bath, submerging yourself in water will be an amazing thing. You can even lay down on the ground. If you want to just immerse your whole body on the ground, just
Mm.
lay down. Petting your animals after they've been outside is another great way
Wow.
to actually ground yourself. If you've got any crystals, so if you have any crystals that you want to ground yourself in, you can ground yourself in the crystals because they come from the earth. And then, of course, you can use equipment like the metal rods. You can use grounding mats, earthing shoes. There's all kinds of things that are available to you to use for grounding. But again, the most free and easiest way to do it is just to get outside, bare feet on the ground. And there is actually on YouTube, if you want to watch a movie called Grounding. And it is, I think it's an hour and something documentary about why grounding is so important and how it's helped this person that did the documentary on her journey. It was really intriguing to see the benefits of how it's starting to come into scientific proof. People are talking about it. It's not just a fad or a conspiracy theory. It's actually pretty amazing what it's done. And what are some ways that you ground, Marissa?
Oh, I mean, my absolute favorite is gonna have to be just laying outside. I love laying on the grass, watching the clouds. It fills me with so much joy to just see nature. Like even in my front yard, I live in the suburbs of the city. So I mean, it's not as great as being out in like the country or anything, but you still get birds. That's my favorite. I just get so excited when I see little hummingbirds or butterflies or dragonflies over the summer. Most of my time was spent outside. I would lay down under the tree so I had some shade. I would start out with, I would lay in the shade, put my head in the sun so I could kind of get some sun gazing in there, get some vitamin D. I mean, you're going to get it regardless, just being outside. But I wanted to feel that warmth. I would meditate while grounding, which is like the ultimate benefits. My other one would be baths. or showers. Like they help me so much. I forget how much I love baths. And at the beginning of my awakening, and we talked about this, I kind of knew what to do automatically. I took so many baths. Uh and we'll get into that another time. I don't know. Actually, we'll just talk about it because I think it's great to, give personal experiences. So for my awakening, I awoken last year, about a year ago. And then I didn't know what was really happening, but did know. Kind of went with the flow, and I kind of lost. I had a Kundalini awakening, so I kind of lost the Kundalini energy, but I definitely think it's for a reason. So right now I am getting back into daily habits of all of this stuff, grounding, meditation, all this stuff to get back to my center. So I think it's important to also put out there that just because you awaken, like there's different things that you still have to work through.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's ebb and flows. It can come and go. And I felt so guilty. I was like, oh my gosh. Like my ego was like, Marisa, because I have struggled with perfectionism my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And so with this, people really portray this like perfect way of living, but it's so like individualistic. Everybody's different. It's whatever works for you. And I think that's so important to advocate for.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love daily walks. I walk my dogs. It gives me, luckily having dogs gives me
Mm-hmm.
the mandatory. It's not really like an excuse. Like I have to go walk them, and they love it just as much as I do. And then my cats will love to just when I'm sitting out in the sun with my feet on the ground, just kind of taking in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
All of my cats love to get on me at that time, and that's how I kind of judge my vibration when they're all like all around me and under my feet. I'm like, okay, I must have done something right because they're like
Mm-hmm.
all in my way. Um, and I do love setting intention in the shower to ground in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I do occasionally take baths. I like baths. That was something that I never got into, but I love swimming. And anytime I have an opportunity to go
I
swimming or
love
get into
swimming.
the ocean, love
Mm-hmm.
it. I am more of like a lake girl and getting in the creek. Like,
Me
give me a
too.
lake, give me a creek, something natural. Oh, I am there. I don't care if it's
Mm-hmm.
cold. So those are things that
Mm-hmm.
I love to do when
Same.
it comes to grounding. Yeah.
I've only been to the ocean one time.
Oh wow.
And so that's definitely on my bucket list to go to the ocean more because the minerals, I mean, lake water is great, but the minerals in the ocean,
Mm, yeah, that
just
salt
so
water,
healing.
amazing. Yeah.
I also love hot springs. Holy
Mm.
moly. They have been calling me. I'm actually going to go to hot springs this weekend. I'm going to go
Ooh,
with a new friend I made, and
nice.
we're going to go on a little hike. I think it's like a mile hike
Mm-hmm.
and go to hot springs, which is going to be a little cold, which is nice because it's up in the mountains.
Yeah,
So I'm super excited.
that's awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
I want to mention walking is a big one for me too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but with that being said, I kind of want to talk about how conflicting sometimes it can be from like old programming and like from what you know is right for you. And because there's times where like I'll wake up and I'm like, yeah, I need to go for a walk. And then I get caught up in doing other things in like this unconscious self-sabotaging kind of way. And then it will take me to like later on in the day, 5 o'clock, and I'm like, okay, I'm going. And then I go and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so good. Why didn't I do this earlier? Like this could have
Mm-hmm.
set up my whole day differently. But with walking, I'm sure you know this, but for viewers, we have the left and right sides of our brain. So when you're walking, it's actually, I think it's called bilateral movement. So it actually connects the two sides of your brain. It like helps connect them. So when you're walking, it's really, really good. Not only are you grounding, you're also in the present moment, usually. I mean, not everyone, but you know, but it's really good for your brain as well and your
Cool.
health.
Yeah, that brings me to the next number three. But I will tie in off of what you just said. That is one thing that I was walking the other day, and that's what came to me from my higher self. It was like, stop. Don't you look at your phone. Don't pay attention to your animals. Like, I want you to just be. And being is very hard in this busy world that keeps us chaotic and crazy. And it was,
Mm-hmm.
look at the grass, look at the shades of green, watch the trees, look at the flowers that are still blooming, just paying attention and being in the moment, which is mindfulness, right? As well
Mm-hmm.
as grounding. So, very cool idea. So, number three is your thoughts. Holy moly. 60,000 thoughts a day. 60,000. And the thing is, if you think about your thoughts, you only think less than that. So you have all of these other thoughts playing in the background. Well, guess what? Those thoughts drive your feelings. And then those thoughts get you what you don't want in your reality. So if you pay attention to your thoughts and you realize that you're very negative in your mindset, whether you be downplaying yourself with negative self talk or judgmental about others, or you're getting frustrated because you got cut off in line or you're driving down the highway, whatever those emotions are, those are also attracting more back to you. That gets into the law of manifestation. So, just thinking about how your thoughts are. So, we don't want to allow our thoughts to overrule us, but when you start getting into that mindset, that mindfulness, being very conscious, that's part of the awakening. We are awakening to ourselves, awakening to our thoughts, and realizing that it is our ego that is indeed doing all of that thinking. And as those thoughts come up, we have to be very conscious into not suppressing them, but figuring out what is triggering these emotions so that we can feel it to heal it. And that will be in another video, but just being very conscious of your thoughts. Marissa, what would you say it was like for you when you became conscious of your thoughts? What did you notice?
Oh man, I feel like this is my like hyperfixation as of late. I'm trying to think back to when I first awakened, and I mean, I don't think I was even, because there's different phases of awakening.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's not like a awakening and it's like boom, here's everything. So I definitely think it's been a year. So I used to think a year was a long time. It is not. It is not a
Not
long time.
anymore.
No, it is not a long time. And so, yeah, that's definitely like this last month that has really been my awakening is my sovereignty, because that's thoughts, you know. When you give your power over to people, and I've heard this before, but once you get it, you get it. But I do want to point out for me personally, okay, you view life through the perception, your own everybody views everything through your own brain, and you process everything through your own brain, which your brain has been programmed based on your surroundings and your life up until this moment.
Mm-hmm.
So realizing that everybody's experience and perception is different, uh, is really big. And I think the thing that has been the coolest for me as of late is realizing that, because I have always been super self conscious and cared, people pleaser, cared what everybody else thought of me, of my actions, yada, yada. and realizing that people are perceiving me out of their brains and that nobody will ever really know me to my core and how I perceive myself. And that's really all that matters, is how I perceive myself and how I my thoughts and actions align with my beliefs and my morals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so with that being said, I just want to point this out. I was talking to my friend's daughter the other day, and she is really struggling with what other people think. She mentioned something on her body and that she didn't like it. And it was so silly. So silly. And I was like, well, who said you can't, like, that's not pretty? Or like, what, why? There was a specific word. I was like, what's the standard? I was like, who said that? And she's like, well, the girls on YouTube. And I was like, that makes me so sad. So like in her perception, I was like, but they don't know you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
anyways, with that being said, I told her I did like reenacted this little thing. And so I was like, okay, walk past me real quick. And I'm standing there and she walks past me and I'm like, ugh, and I roll my eyes. And I was like, what in your brain, what did you think like happened in that situation? She's like, you didn't like the way I was dressed. And I was like, no, I was actually upset because I was thinking about this conversation I had earlier with my friend. And I was just so mad because she didn't understand me. And she's like, oh. I was like, yeah, see, you really never know what's going on in someone else's brain. But you, because of how you have perceived the world, so watching YouTube, caring about
Mm-hmm.
all these other people's opinions, you just assumed
Mm-hmm.
that it was about you.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it wasn't. It was completely not about you. And it was cool because I just saw like this like light in her head, just like, oh.
That's
And then
awesome.
it was so fun. One more example is she was talking bad about her body again in a different way, completely, completely. This little girl is don't even get, anyways, she was just judging herself.
Mm-hmm.
And right before that, she was judging me. So I had a gastric bypass. And so I have extra skin on my arms and I had taken off my jacket. And she like kind of was like, I think weirded out a little bit from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's okay. Like, I love myself. Like, it doesn't matter. She's like, well, she told me, she's like, I'll pay for your surgery. I was like, okay, okay.
Wow.
I was like, yeah, please do. Anyways, that's besides the point. Um, but she wanted me to go play with her. And she kept on saying negative things about herself. And so I went in the kitchen and she's like, come play with me. I was like, because I've already told her all these things, like she needs to love herself, whatever. So I was like, sorry, I can't hang out in there. I was like, I don't put myself around people who talk badly about themselves. It's just not the energy I want to be by.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I really love myself and want to surround myself with the best people. And she yells from the other room, okay, fine, I love myself. My body's beautiful. And so she just started saying affirmations. I went and hung out with her. But it was just
Yeah.
it was fun. And I think it's so important to also like teach kids these things. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because if I was more in ways that they understand, because my grandma did planted little seeds when I was younger, but the way she said it wasn't in a way that my brain can comprehend. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful for it now because now I understand. But,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
sorry, got into a long spiel there. I relate a lot to stories instead of, I feel like I'm able to understand things more when I hear people's personal experiences. So
Mm-hmm.
there's that.
For sure.
What
Yeah.
about you?
So for me, I remember, so I didn't know about mindset. Like that was not a thing on my radar when I first woke up back in 2020. It was um I kept hearing things about looping thoughts and stuff like that, but still nothing on my radar until one day this was, uh, I will say 2 years ago. So 2 years in on my journey, and I was on my way to the beach. My husband was driving, and I was in the passenger side. And I do quantum healing sessions. That will be another video, but I've learned to tap into my higher self. And so I was asking for guidance, and this is a 6 hour trip. I was kind of in a bored state, which is low vibrational. And all of a sudden, I heard, "What are your thoughts right now?" And I'm like, "Whoa, where did that come from?" And I was like, "I don't know. What am I thinking?" And I just kind of dismissed it, and, riding down the road, and you go into a trance state, drive or riding, right? Like, you just get very comfortable, and before you know it, you're just drifting off. And there I was again, drifting off. And I heard it again. "What are you thinking about?" And I was like, "Whoa, oh gosh, I'm thinking about the same thing I thought about a few minutes ago." And then I heard exactly, "Stop." I was like, "Okay, that was weird." And then again, going again. And then I was looping again. And then that was a teachable moment that my higher self was like, "This is looping thoughts. This is what you have to stop. Do you see how negative you're going? You are already anticipating." So what I learned from that was my higher self teaching me in the moment, was our looping thoughts are just these things that, especially if you've got a lot of trauma, we always are predicting circumstances. So
Mhm.
whether, I was planning on meeting a friend when I got to the beach, and I haven't seen her in months. And so I was automatically playing a dialogue in my head, because that is my protection. Because if I go ahead and anticipate, like, some good scenarios and worst case scenarios, I would automatically be prepared for what's to come. And so I was automatically looping in these scenarios, preparing myself. And my higher self was like, "What are you doing? quit quit doing that. You're actually going to create probably the worst timeline for
Mhm.
yourself by sticking into these time loops." And that was my first going, "What the heck?" And I've never heard anybody talk about this. This was literally my higher self going smack in the face, "Listen to me, I'm teaching you something." Yeah. And so from that moment on, I brought it up to my husband, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, are you looping?" And then, he got a little defensive because he was looping. And that was just like this thing. "Oh, don't talk about me like that. Like, those
Yeah.
are my thoughts."
His ego. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then it was like I started being more conscious of my thoughts, and I didn't even realize how negative I was. Oh my gosh, especially self talk. "I am so dumb because I couldn't remember something, or I couldn't do something. And, I'm so overweight, and I had lost weight." And this is something that Marissa and I have in common. We've actually done gastric. I did sleeve, but that will be another conversation we will be very vulnerable with. But even though we had the surgery, and she can probably attest to this, I still was very insecure about my body, because the weight loss was not the problem. The mindset was,
Mm-hmm.
and the emotions that kept creating the eating disorder, and the things that created the weight gain. So, anyways, that will be again another video. But again, the negative self talk that I had, I didn't realize how bad it was until my higher self kept bringing awareness to it, going, "What are you thinking about again? Here you go again. Here is a looping thought." And that's whenever I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've got to stop this." And that is where every time a negative thought would come in and I would catch it, I would go ahead and say something better, because studies have shown, and me being a teacher in high school, I knew this to be true, as well as you probably can attest this for yourself. If you say one negative thing, you better say 10 positives right behind it, because otherwise, that negative thing gets so ingrained that no matter what you do from that moment forward, that is the thing you remember. And how many of you remember being in school and your teacher saying, "I said, don't do this," or "You're so dumb," or if and teachers are not supposed to say that, but they slipped up, or they made you feel less than. They may not even said it. They may have made you feel that way,
Hmm.
right? And so those negative moments that you may have experienced in school, they may have done 10,000 other things to you, but not to cover up that one negative thing that they said. And so that one negative experience or words,
Hmm.
even with your parents, your friends, think about all of those things. You remember all the negative way easier than you remember the positive.
I am being called to say this because I just have realized that even before my awakening, I was doing this, and also how important our words are.
Mm-hmm.
I might get a little off topic, but I just feel really called to say this. So I try to be very careful with what I say because I know my words have power, and I've always known that. Um, with that being said, I realized that throughout my life, or at least I guess since I think I had like an awakening moment in 2020, um, not spiritually, just to emotions, myself, all this kind of stuff, which we can get into it on another video. But I realized like I would see people and I would instantly judge them. I know on the last video we talked about when we were being raised, well, for me, it was a lot of not social media, that wasn't really a thing, but entertainment stuff with celebrities and whatnot. So a lot of judgment. And in the early 2000s, we had a lot of judgment. I mean, we still do, but there's a little bit more acceptance now. Anyways, so I would find myself looking at people and I would instantly judge them. And then I'm like, no, Marissa, like that's not the thoughts I want to have about other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started changing that. I'd be like, no, they're like in my head, I'm like, no, they're beautiful. Like they're beautiful no matter what. Like that's what they like. This is what makes them feel beautiful. Um, so that's just one thing I want to mention. The other thing is like words are power. The biggest one that sticks out to me, and this is something that my ex has one teacher, I don't know what grade or anything, one teacher told him, you're never going to get paid for looking out the window. Like basically like you need to pay attention, like
Mm-hmm.
pay attention to what we're doing. You're never going to get paid looking out a window. He's now a truck driver, and so like that, but that stuck in his head so much and has literally formed his whole life. And I'm wondering like if she never said that, what would he do? Because now I'm like, did
Mm-hmm.
he choose that, I mean, profession because it's like, oh, one teacher said one time about this, I'm going to prove you wrong,
Yeah.
basically. I mean, I don't think that has complete,
Well, it has to do with some subconscious stuff because
yeah,
all that does get ingrained and it stays stuck in there. So yeah.
right. So I think it's so important. I could talk about thoughts and brain. It's so fascinating to me. It's like my hyperfixation right now. But I did want to
Yeah.
point that out, just that your words are powerful out loud to other people. They'll forever remember them, especially children. You
Mm-hmm.
never know what words you say that will stick in someone's mind and create a whole belief and can change their whole entire lives.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want
Yeah.
to point out that.
We'll definitely get into a word
Yeah.
conversation because in the last couple of days, I've actually got some downloads about the words too. And there's some things that we can talk about and go deep into about the power and all that thing. So I think that will be another cool video. But I will
Yes.
say that um, we definitely have to, that kind of ties into energy, right? Like the energy behind the words is
Hmm.
also the intent. So, number 4 on our list is energy clearing and protection. And I don't know about you, but if you're not doing all these things and staying grounded and being mindful and staying in the now moment, that's when you're going to actually start to heal yourself because there's those limited beliefs I tell you, they are lies that we have been told and they have been formulated from other people's perception of us. And so that waking up, that dissolving the ego is allowing these things to diminish. And so with this energy clearing, you need to be doing it every single day and do it every single time if you catch yourself feeling tired. There's so many things that we can get into. So, ways that you can pick up energy is just talking to somebody, being in a physical conversation with someone. You can pick up their energy. You also can pick up energy if someone is thinking about you and then they come across your mind and your ego accepts it. So it like makes that connection back with them. Okay. That makes an energetic cord. And we'll talk about that in a second. You can also be just in public places. So if you go grocery shopping, go to the mall, just being out in public, that's going to pick up on energy, especially if you're an empath. You're going to notice that big time because a lot of empaths do not want to go in public because it's so much. But if you do this clearing every single day and you start learning how to protect your energy, it will diminish more and more. And of course, the higher frequency that you are, the more it repels that negativity. So we'll talk about that. If you are around friends and family, that's going to also possibly drain your energy. You can find out about like energy vampires. They feed off the energy. Again, that'll get into some card path.
Unconsciously.
Yes, they don't know it. But you'll notice like you'll be around certain people and we talked a little bit about this in the first video. It's like you're around people and they're just like, oh my God, please come back. And they feel so great. And you're just like, please, I need a vacation from being around you. But again, that's that energy exchange. If you live in an apartment complex or you live in a very high dense populated area, that too will also take away from your energy and also your sexual partners. It's all about intent. Okay. So you have to be very conscious of where your energy is being depleted. Energy that is not yours will prevent you from being your authentic self. And that'll actually change your personality because you are becoming a false self. You're becoming what people think you are and not who you truly are, which actually makes you feel terrible. It'll make you feel unwell. It'll bring you down in vibration. And again, this is all about vibrating high, right? So when you're not feeling well, you're not feeling good, and you're having what I call intrusive thoughts, these random thoughts coming into your mind, they might not be yours. And so when you ground, you meditate into mindfulness, you sit yourself into your heart space, then you can ask, are these really my emotions? Am I really feeling sad right now? Do I have anything to feel sad about? Why do I feel depressed? Am I really depressed? Anything that's low, that brings on that low vibration, you might need to question yourself because it might not be you. And that again is a sign
Mhm.
that you need to do a clearing. And so, in a moment, if you're willing, you can use your free will. We're going to do a energy clearing. So I will talk you through how to call back your energy, how to pull in life force energy, which is great for healing. We'll go through all that. So if you want to stay to the end, that will be what's coming up. So before we get into that script and pulling back our energy, Marissa, what have you noticed about your energy and being around people? What was your experience like?
Well, at first I didn't really understand it. I think it's because my whole life has been chaos. I didn't know what peace was. I
Mm-hmm.
was so used to chaotic energy and that was just normal. And through my awakening, I hermit mode, secluded myself, and you really hone in on what your own energy is.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you go out, you're like, you're able to decipher like who you want to be around more. And that's a whole other thing. But the biggest one for me was so I went to New Mexico for a couple months back in January. And Oh, the energy down there where I was so nice. It was because I live in like a suburb, the suburbs of a city. It's very fast paced. It's like everyone's always doing something, everyone's on their phones, blah, 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 blah. I go down to New Mexico. This is a really small town, and nobody's ever on their phones. Like traffic's slow, nobody's speeding.
Hmm.
Um, it was just the energy was completely different. It was amazing. I miss it. I miss it so much. But I came back here for a week for something. And the first time I came up here, I slept for like 24 hours. Like no joke. I could feel it as I was getting into Salt Lake. I was like, I could feel the dense energy. And then I just slept for like 24 hours. And then when I ended up moving back, I slept for 3 days. And I was I don't want to say depressed, but it was a lot of energy
Hmm.
my body was not used to. So it took a long time for me to get acclimated to the denser energies here.
Hmm. Yeah, I
So
find
that's a
that
big
too
one.
when
What
I
about?
go, when you go to those populated areas, if I go to like big cities, because I'm here in Tennessee, so if I go to like Knoxville, the traffic freaks me out. And I've really had to be really conscious about just setting myself up. And we'll talk about how you can create your own shield within your body, but you
Yeah, that
activate your own
just
shield because it just gets to be a whole lot. And I don't know about you, but when I go into big crowded areas, I feel this overwhelming anxiety. Like it was bad. There was times in my beginning of my awakening whenever I started really tapping into and understanding energy, and I didn't know what to do with all this energy. That when I went into, if I would go to Gatlinburg, for instance, in Tennessee, oh, all of these people. And I was like, what else can I do if I want to go enjoy it? I would never drive there because I would freak out. So I started eating like the CBD gummies because I couldn't handle, like, it was just too chaotic for me. And then luckily I stumbled across how to start, protecting my energy. And that kind of led me down to this path. But in the beginning, it was overwhelming for me. I couldn't handle it.
yeah. At first, it was very overwhelming going in public places. Going to New Mexico helped so much because it
Mm-hmm.
completely reframed my mind. It was a whole new environment, new
Mm-hmm.
people. It was really cool. But one thing I do want to point out, like now, I don't feel like as long as I'm in the right energy, I feel like I'm more of a light in places.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love music. I love driving. So I always blast the music every time I'm in the
Mm-hmm.
car. And I just jam. Like
Mm-hmm.
I have such a good time. And I feel like that really creates, I don't know. I should look into that more. It just popped in my head that that's like kind of what I do to create like a maybe, I don't know. I'll have to like kind of tune into that because that's what popped in my head. And I went to the thrift store the other day and I was listening to music, having a great time. Go in. I was just telling you about this. And everybody that I interacted with in the store was so nice. And it's if you go in with that kind of energy, you get such a different reaction from people. Even
Mm-hmm.
this little baby, oh my gosh, she was so cute. Her mom was like kind of weirded out. It was a little awkward with the mom, but this little baby would not stop staring at me.
Ah, that's one thing I noticed too with the awakening. You do get a lot more animals and babies. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was just, I'm also a very smiley person. I was looking through CDs and I was just laughing because there were so many old CDs that were just triggering a lot of fun memories for me. And this little baby was laughing,
That's so
like just
cool.
giggling. Yeah, it was so cute. And that's just like confirmation. I don't know. It's fun to get those little confirmations of like how much you've grown because that like
Yeah,
never happened before. But I think putting yourself in a good state of mind before you go into those places is big with energy too.
absolutely. Well, since I started practicing this energy work every day, I do it every morning and every night before I go to bed. And if I notice that I feel different, because when you become more conscious of your own energy field, you can tell when there's something dabbling around your energy field. And
Hmm.
I know, and I set the intention, and I know that it is done. And I am so on my energy field that, again, once you become aware and you know and trust that your energy field is being cleansed and cleared, you're going to start paying attention to it more. And I too went on, let's see, when was this? It was the weekend, my son, and I was literally driving past him in Knoxville. He lives in Knoxville. And I had this thought in my head, like, I want coffee.
I
I
love
texted him and I was like, hey, we're coming in your area. Want to get coffee? He goes, funny, I'm already here. And I was like, here where? And he was at the particular coffee shop that I actually wanted to go to. And I was like, oh my gosh. He said, how far are you? 8 minutes out. I was like, oh my gosh, that is so crazy. So we go and hang out with him. We end up going to dinner. And when we got to the restaurant, he looks at me and goes, Mom, did you feel that energy from her? And I was like, no. Uh, and normally I'm the one that feels energy, but he's learning. Okay. And so he was like, yeah, I don't know about her. I didn't get a good vibe. So we sit down, we eat, and he got done and he was like scarfing his food down. And he was like, okay, when y'all get done, can we go? Like, this place is giving me bad vibes. And my husband agreed to that. He's like, yeah, I'm not feeling it either. So we get out to the car and they start talking about where they felt that energy was coming from. And I kind of just laughed internally. I didn't say anything. But at that moment, I realized that my shield actually was up and it worked, because I was not affected for the first time. That being out in public, and I've noticed that it's gotten better and better, but for them to actually feel that what they would label as a negative energy did not affect me, I was like, I am on my game, because I was just like, man, I had a good old time. I didn't feel any of that. I was smiling and laughing and, whatever. So it definitely shows that if you're very conscious of your energy and keeping it clear, being very intentional about where your energy is and calling back your energy. That has been probably the number one thing I've noticed. Calling back my energy and cutting my cords with people
it. Hmm.
has been the number one thing. So I don't know. Have you noticed that with your daily practice, Marissa?
Yes. Knowing your own energy, and yeah, I could definitely, I when you were saying this, I was just thinking about this as well, is kind of there's okay, so with my friend Lexi, her mom, she's like my second mom. She's like, you text me at like the perfect moments, or like the I don't want to say perfect moments, but she's like, it's always when I'm going through something, you'll just text me. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like this little reminder of certain things. And so that's confirmation, but
Also shows it's
I'm
already
now
energetically
wondering,
attached.
that's why I was just thinking, I was like, is it, I saw a video the other day about something. I'll have to share it with you. Um, but I was just wondering, is that like a download from like our higher selves, their higher selves, um, God? It's just kind of whatever you believe in.
Mm-hmm.
But
It
I
can be both
also,
ways, I feel. Yeah.
yeah, no, I constantly, it's so funny because I used to just think that thinking about people was my own brain, like my own stuff. And now that I'm more attuned to myself, I'll reach out to those people 9 times out of 10, if
Mm-hmm.
if they're on my brain, there's a reason. They're thinking of me. I Maybe God's sending a message, hey, they need help. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And 9 times out of 10, they're like really going through something and they need some help. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's always a fun confirmation. But
Yeah.
knowing then there's those people that you don't talk to anymore or that
Mm-hmm.
you've cut out of your life and you get thoughts of them, and that's when you're like, okay, I need to cut those cords, I need to clear my energy, I need to
Right.
call back my power.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool being coming, and it goes back to like our thoughts too, just
Yes.
becoming aware of what we're thinking
Mm-hmm.
and then having our power to choose who gets a
Yeah.
part of our energy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And when you notice too, like those who, and it's not on the conscious level a lot of times. Sometimes it is, but like it's an unconscious negative energy sent to you. And when you cut the cord with them, oh, they feel it. And next thing you know, they're texting you right away.
Mm-hmm.
And you can feel that energy come across. Once you start really tapping into your energy, you can read between the lines. Like they may send you a text, but you automatically read the energy and you don't even have to read the words. I feel it. I know exactly what's coming through and the way that it gets portrayed. And I'm like, ooh, yeah, they just felt that cord cut and cut it again.
Mm-hmm.
You feel into
See,
that.
yes, you do. I really try before I reclaim my power and take my power back. I always send them love and light,
Oh, yeah,
even if they're not
absolutely.
in, and I think that's important to point out. Like one time me and my sister went to Subway, and this lady that was making our sandwiches, man, she was not nice at
Mm,
all. She was just very rude. And the whole time I was just sending her just love and light. I was like, you know, just really trying to make her day better. And that happens a lot where people project onto you, and then they accept that energy, and then they
mm-hmm.
get mad, and then they go and spread it, and oh my gosh, can you believe this person, can you believe this person did this, and then it's just spreading negativity. Like
Yep.
all you have to do is just like give them love and light, cut that cord, be like it, like that interaction's over with, and
Mm-hmm.
on to the next moment, which is super
I'm so
important.
glad you brought that up because this also is part of energy. Did you know? Did you know that because everything is energy, not just me and you, the dogs, everything is energy. So when other people make our food, they put their energy and
Oh my
intent
goodness,
into your
yes,
food. And when you
yes.
eat certain things, you might feel angry or all of a sudden grumpy or all of a
I'm trying to
sudden
think if I was
anxious
mad after that.
or it's something to start paying attention to, which is why and people call it prayer, but I call it intentional. Like I meditate over my food. I do Reiki over my food, and you don't have to know how to do Reiki, but I say like to my food, I am turning all negative emotions into love and light, and anything that is not of my highest intent is now being transmuted now. So I like lift the vibration of my food before I ever eat it because
Oh my gosh,
I
I
do
love
not
that.
want to take on whatever energy they might have been having a bad day. And if I notice they're having a bad day, I will send them some of my love and energy, and I pull it from source energy to give
Hmm.
it to them, right? But I also make sure that my food does not contain anything that's not serving my highest good. So I'm glad you pointed that out. Very good to keep in your thoughts.
And this, I have a Reiki course, and I'm gonna break into that. But everything I at first, because I got that course, and at first I was like really hard on myself, and I was like, I need to do it, blah blah blah. But I know that like everything's timing, like everything will come as it needs to come,
Yep.
and when I feel the moment is right, I'll start that. But yesterday, which I think the moment is now, not now, but now,
Yep.
because there was this video that came on my feed talking about, okay, you get your left and your right, and you probably know this, and the generator. Have you ever
Mm-hmm.
seen that?
Mm-hmm.
With your right hand is a generator, and you just go like this, and my fingers started tingling.
Mm-hmm.
It was so cool. So I mean, now
Yeah,
I'm gonna try doing that with my.
you've got chakras in your hand and you can activate them with Shokure. You'll learn that in Reiki 1, but it's
Oh, I'm
very
so
cool.
excited. I
It,
think that video was
yeah,
placed in my
it's very
path
cool.
to
Yeah.
like get me excited. Like, hey, here's an easy thing to like get you excited to want because I have ADHD. So I have to like to be able to focus on something and actually absorb and learn it, I have to be very interested in it. I have to hyper fixate, I guess, whatever.
Absolutely. All
So,
right, so we're going to do a little meditation. So if you would like to
mhm.
join us, if you're driving, please don't. But if you're at a good place where you can get into a calm space, we are going to set the intention to clear the energy. And so you have to use your free will to do this. Okay. So this is not something that I can do for you. You have to accept and say that I intend to clear my energy. And you can say this, repeat it after me in your mind. You can say it out loud, however you want to do it. So you'll notice that I'm going to give you some pause. So I'll say a phrase and I'll let you fill that in, or you can just say exactly what she said. Okay. However you want to do this. Two things that I want to show you before we do this meditation. One is I'm going to tell you to get into your heart space. You don't have to see it, you just have to feel it. And what I want you to do is to come out of here, out of the mind, and come into here. And I want you to picture yourself sitting in, I imagine my heart space like a cave with green crystals. You can do whatever you want. I'm just giving you an idea.
Beautiful.
And in that crystal cave of green emerald, I have a chair. And in that chair is called my command chair. And I love pink because it reminds me of heart too. But I love a pink, fluffy, fuzzy chair. And I sit with my soul in my heart space in a pink chair. So you can do whatever you
Oh
want.
my gosh.
So
Look at my pink chair.
whenever you when I get to the moment where I say we're going to go into our heart space, that's where I want you to connect from, because now we're getting in the present moment. We are now connecting into the heart space, into the soul, not in the ego. Okay. And then I'm also going to set the intention that we're going to breathe in prana. Prana is life force energy from all that is. Okay. And so we all have access to this because we are God's spark, right? But you have to set the intention. So you can just breathe in and out normally, and without an intention, it's just air for your lungs. But if I set the intention that every breath in will be prana and life force energy, and every breath out is going to be breathing out any negative, low vibrational energy, setting that intention as we go. And I'm going to talk you through this, but I want you to understand what we're doing through this process. So if you want to sit up, make sure you're leaning and you're relaxing your back so you're not holding yourself up unless you're a very good yogi. Okay. So a lot of us do not have a very strong back. I don't want you to be in any discomfort. If you choose to lie down, do that as well. Whatever makes you comfortable. And when you are ready, just go ahead and close your eyes. So we are setting the intention to connect to life force energy. So, what I want you to do is breathe in very deeply. Feel that white light of source enter through the nostrils. Hold it for 3 and then breathe out. Setting that intention, releasing all low vibration energy. Breathe in again. Hold it for 3 and let it all out. I'm also setting the intention to access my heart space, to sit into your command chair inside your heart so that you are connecting in with your soul. And now you can repeat after me in your mind or out loud. I call on the divine and ask for guidance in immediately releasing all energy that is not in my best and highest good. I command it to be wrapped in the highest frequencies of all that is and transmuted by the divine. It is done. I now command back all of my energy from all people, situations, and experiences. I intend it to be returned to me as the highest frequency of all that is, with harm to none and the good of all. I command I be activated as my own shield, and I be impervious to accepting any and all low vibrational energy that is not in my highest and best good. Thank you all for this clearing. It is done. So when you are ready, you can slowly open your eyes and know that you are now back with a clear, energetic body. And that is all that we have today. And we hope that you enjoy. And again, these 4 essential tools that we use for our awakening, we are still using today. And we hope that you can learn something from this and take it and use it in your daily practice. And any last words from you, Marissa?
I don't think so. Just everybody have a great day. If you're watching this
Awesome.
on 11/11, clear that
Absolutely.
energy and pull in some good energy for the future.
Absolutely. So, again, if you have any questions or comments, we'd love to see below. Anything that you want help guided into, we've got lots to share. Our list keeps growing every single time we do these. So, we've got lots of things to share on this awakening series. So, as we
Absolutely.
go back through, we'll rewatch some of these things too, as well, so we can make sure that we cover the things that we said we'll talk about on another video. But again, these are our 4 essential tools that we have used, and we hope that you can use them as well. And we will see you next time.
See you
Love
next
you so
time.
much.